structural things between, say, the New York Quartet and this trilogy. Again, I don't really see any great similarities between them, since this was conceived of as a trilogy before I wrote the first words in the first book, whereas the New York Quartet was really an ad hoc thing. It started out as a single book, Tumbleweeds. 6 years later, I was going to write a book about this family that I grew up with that became the Vinchettis, uh, and I decided to make it a sequel by carrying over the Manny Cole character. And then midway through that book, I said, well, I have to do a bigger book because the Norwegian and the big Frank characters and the murder of Paulie Maravelli had to be its own book. Then I did that, and then I did the smaller Coda book. So that was sort of an ad hoc thing, whereas this is written defined. So in a sense, that the American Imperium was not something that I wrote initially with that in mind as a single structure. I wrote like the Thomas Jefferson poem separate from the Rockefeller Center poem. Those two poems I wrote individually. Once I had those two poems, I believe then I wrote the other three poems around it to make it a sequence. So in that sense, that actually structurally how I wrote those 5 poems to make the bigger, longer poetic sequence, or a single poem, if you want to look at it that way, is similar in construction to the New York Quartet rather than this.